Hi everyone, welcome back to Geeks for Geeks. In this video, we will discuss the problem divisor game. Let us read the problem statement and understand it, and then we will implement it. So the problem says that Alice and Bob take turns and they are playing the game. So basically, Alice will start the game and both the players will take the turns alternatively. So first of all, Alice will take her chance, then Bob, then again Alice, then Bob, and so on. Now initially there is a number that is there, that is n, that is written on the chalkboard. Now on each turn the player will take a particular move. So what that player will do is they will choose a particular element x which will be a factor of n, and then they will do what? Instead of n they will replace the number with n minus x. Okay. Also, if player cannot make a move, they will lose. So you have to return true if Alice will win, otherwise you have to return false. Okay. And both the players are playing optimally. This means that both the players are playing for winning the game. So what happens is, suppose that if the n value was 6, let's take one example. So if n value was 6, so what can you choose? You can choose x from 1 till less than n. Okay. At any point of time, you can choose an element x which can be from 1 till less than n, and the condition should be that x n modulus x should be equal to 0. Okay. So x should be a factor of n. So basically, what are the candidates for x when the n value is 6? So 1 can be a factor, then 2 is a factor, then 3 is a factor. Why we will not choose 6? Because it is said that x will be less than the n value. Okay, so that is why we cannot choose 6 here. So if you have got n is equal to 6, then when you will do n minus x, so if you do n minus 1, then the updated number will be 5. If you do what? If you do n minus 2, then the updated number will be nothing but 4. If you do what? If you do n minus 3, then the updated number will be 3. Okay, so you can see here that you'll be having a particular number x in a particular move. Okay, and you have to choose any factor of that number. So if you have got n, so you have to choose a particular factor, okay, which will be from 1 till less than n, and then you have to subtract the number from it, and that will be the updated number which will go to the next player in the next turn. Okay, so suppose that if the n value was 1, right? If the n value is 1, then what will happen? If the n value is 1, then you cannot choose any x. Why you cannot choose any x? Because if the n value is 1, so the only factor of 1 is 1, but we cannot choose the same number, right? We cannot choose x as 1 because we have to choose the number from 1 till less than the number itself. So for 1, when suppose that if a player starts, suppose that if any player will start for n is equal to 1, then what will happen? Suppose that Alice will start for n is equal to 1, then Alice will lose because Alice will not be able to make any move. Then when the n value is 2, what will happen? Suppose if the n value is 2, then what is the factor? Only one element is the factor, that is 1. So when you will do what? Like if Alice is playing the game, okay, when n is 2, so Alice will start and Alice will do what? Alice will subtract 1 from the number. So when you will do 2 minus 1, you will get 1. So next time Bob will get what? Bob will get the updated number as 1. Okay, and Bob will not be able to make any move because when anybody gets the number as 1, so they will lose, and 1 is the odd number which Bob is getting, and n is equal to 1, so Bob will lose here. So you can say that Alice will win here. So that is why you can say that Alice wins when the n value is 2. So that is why you will return true here. Okay, now for the next case, when suppose that the n value is 3. If suppose that the n value is 3, guys, then what will happen? If the n value is 3, Alice will start. Now Alice will do what? 3 minus 1, because 1 is a factor. So next time the number will be 2. So number will become 2 now. When the number will become 2, then what will happen? When the number is 2, so in that case you can say that Bob will be there. Now when Bob is here, so Bob will do what? 2 minus 1 again Bob can do. So this number will be 1. Now n will be 1 and it will be given to Alice. Now when Alice will get the number 1, so Alice will lose. So you can say that Alice loses. Okay. So in this case you can see that when the n value is what? When the n value is 3, so Alice will lose. Okay. When the n value was 1 also, then Alice was losing. When the n value was 2, so Alice was winning. Okay. Now let's check it for n is equal to 4, guys. When the n value is 4, then what will happen? When the n value is 4, suppose, then Alice will start. So suppose that Alice chooses the factor as 1. So 4 minus 1 will be what? It will be nothing but 3. Now since you have got 3, so next time n is 3. So Bob will start and Bob will do what? 3 minus 1. So this will be what? 2. Now n will be 2 and this will be given to Alice. So Alice will do what? 2 minus 1, that is 1. So now n will be 1. It will be given to Bob and Bob will lose. So you can see that Alice wins. Okay. So you can clearly see one thing, that if you try to do the normal observation and you try to play the game optimally by doing the basic dry run, So you can see that if you will try to make sure that both the players are trying to win in their particular move, then in that case, always when the n value is odd, then Alice is going to lose, and if the n value is even, then Alice is going to win. But why is that so? Okay, basically you can see here up till this point that when the n value was 1 or when the n value was 3, then Alice was losing. Okay, and later on you can see that when the n value is 2 or when the n value is 4, then Alice is doing what? Alice is going to win in those particular circumstances, right? So whenever n value is even, Alice is winning. Whenever n value is odd, so Alice is going to lose. But why is that so? Because I want to tell you about one thing, that whenever a player gets an odd number, right? Whenever a player gets an odd number, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 1, then that player is going to lose. Okay. So what you will try to do is, you will try to give the other player odd number. Okay. Because if you try to give the other player odd number, so always the number is decreasing one by one after every move. So whenever a player gets odd number, the other player gets odd number, and the other player will get the odd number lastly as 1, then that player will lose and you will win. So you will always try to make sure that the other player keeps on getting odd numbers, such that the last odd number that the other player will get is 1 and they will lose, right? So this will be the circumstances that you will try to always generate, or you will try to keep it for yourself. Okay, so basically the idea is what, guys? If you will see here, whenever the n value is even, suppose if the n value is 6, okay, so whenever the n value is 6, whenever the n value is even, so you can say that whenever the n value is even, you are going to win. So you will always try to keep even number with yourself, and for the other player you will always try to give them an odd number, because if you keep on giving them odd numbers one by one, so lastly the odd number that the other player will get is what? Lastly the odd number that the opposite player will get will be nothing but 1, and they will lose. Okay, so if the n value is 6 here, and suppose Alice is going to start here, so like you can do what? How can you make this as odd? You can subtract it with 1 and make it as odd, because 1 is a factor of 6. So now 5 will be there. Now Bob will get 5. Now what is the problem when you get odd numbers? Whenever you get odd numbers now, so the problem is that you will always have to transfer even number to the other player. Why? Because if suppose that you have the odd number as, let's say, 9, suppose, so if you had the odd number as 9, then what are the factors? The factors are 1 and 3 only that you can have. So if you do what? If you do 9 minus 1, then you will get 8. If you do what? If you get 9, if you do 9 minus 3 also, even, then also you will get what? 6. So the thing is that if you have got an even number, now like if you have got an odd number, right? If a player has got odd number, so next time the player has to transfer even number to the opposite player. Why? Because if you have got odd number now, so odd number always has got odd divisor. So odd number minus odd divisor will be what? It will be even, and the other player will get even number. When the other player gets an even number, so how they will give you an odd number again? By subtracting the number by 1. 1 is always available as a factor. Whenever your opposite player will get even number, then what will happen? They will subtract it by 1. They will subtract that even number by 1, and they will again give you odd number. Then again you will give them an even number, right? Because whenever you are stuck with the odd cycle, right? Whenever you get odd number, what happens? If you will see here, let's say you have n is equal to 9. What happens? Now suppose Alice is starting from here. So then next time Alice has to do what? 9 minus Alice will subtract either from 1 or 3. Even if you subtract from 3, suppose, then what will happen? Even if you do 9 minus 3, so you'll get 6. So now what will happen? Bob will get 6. When Bob gets 6, so Bob will always try to give the opposite player even, like what kind of number? Odd number. So then Bob will do what? He will do 6 minus 1. So this will be 5. Now Alice gets 5. Now Alice gets 5. Now one of the factors is what? 5 minus 1. So you'll get 4. Now n value is 4. This will be given to Bob basically. Now Bob will do what? Bob will basically do 4 minus 1, let's say, and this will be 3. So now what will happen? N is equal to 3 will be given to, let's say, Alice. Now Alice will do what? Alice will do 3 minus 1. This will be 2. So now Bob will get what? Bob will get 2 here. Okay. Now Bob will do what? 2 minus 1, that is 1. And n is equal to 1 will be given to Alice. Okay. So you can see that Alice will lose here. Why? Because if Alice will start with an even number, with an odd number, okay, so Bob will get even number, then Alice will again will be given an odd number, right? Then Bob will be even number, then Alice again odd number will be given to her, then Bob will get an even number, then again Bob will give odd number to Alice. So if Alice keeps on getting those odd numbers, so what will happen? At one point of time she will get the odd number as 1, then that is when she will lose. Okay, so the thing is that if you have to win, so you'll always try to give the other player odd number, correct? So you can see here that whenever a player gets odd number, so they will lose. Why they will lose? Because if they get odd number, so they will give the opposite player an even number, and the opposite player will give them an odd number. So whenever you keep on getting odd numbers, so lastly the odd number that you'll get is n is equal to 1, and that is when you will lose. So that is the main criteria, that if the n value is what? If the n value is basically, if the n value mod 2, okay, if it is equal to what? 0. So if n is even, then you can say that Alice will win, so you'll return true. Otherwise you will do what? Otherwise you will return false here, because whenever you get even number, right, so you'll make sure that whenever Alice will get even number, so she will make sure that that Bob gets an odd number by subtracting the number by 1. Okay, when Bob will get odd, then Alice will get even again, then Bob will be given odd again. So if Bob keeps on getting odd, Bob will lose. So whenever Alice will start with an even number, she will always keep even numbers with herself. Okay, and Bob will always keep on getting odd numbers until last odd number will be given as 1, and Bob will fail to make any moves, and Alice will win. So this is the scenario here. Let's now try and compile this code. This question has been previously asked in Flipkart as well. So let's try and submit this and check if it is working fine or not. Basically this is order of 1 constant time, but the thing is that we are applying logic here. Okay, let's try and submit it. This is basically a game theory question. If I'll submit, you can see that it will get accepted. You can see that yes, it does get accepted. So if you're clear with this problem, make sure to comment understood or +1 in the chat, and keep coding, guys. Thank you for watching.